webcomic Pepto-Bismol is cool. Hey guys, I wanted to talk about things I learned about being an artist, like little lessons or advice I can pass down on to others. Now, these are what works best for me, so they might not fit exactly with how you do things, but hopefully it helps you in some way. Alright, number 1. It's hard to force art. Now, there's two things that come together to make good art, and that's inspiration and motivation. Art's like a million times easier and better if you have both, but many times you have neither or just one. I know that with me at least. If I'm motivated to draw but have no inspiration, then I wind up drawing things I don't like and scrapping them halfway through. And if I'm inspired to draw but not motivated, then I won't even grab my sketchbook or tablet. I just let the idea die on the spot, or if I'm lucky, I'll remember it for the next time I want to draw. But when you have both at the same time, that's when you hit the sweet spot. That's usually where your best work comes from. And sometimes you have this a lot, and other times it rarely happens, and that sucks. But when you have both of them, art feels more natural and fun to make. Number 2, burnout hits hard. This is kind of connected to number 1 because it involves forcing art. If you make yourself draw when you don't want to, then the work you make won't turn out as good as if you were going through it naturally. This isn't to say don't push yourself to draw when you don't want to, because I know for stuff like jobs and classes and deadlines, you'll need to do it, but you need to find the pace that you work best at. And it's different for everyone. I'm jealous of people who can draw every single day and fill up a sketchbook in 2 months and fill up pages upon pages of art just that quickly and effortlessly. Well, I mean, I know it's not effortless, but it feels that way to me because I'm just looking at it. I'm not making it. But I tried to do that with my webcomic. I tried to draw a page every single day, or at least work on it every single day. But when I did that, I stopped enjoying it, and then the art started getting bad. Really bad, because I didn't want to do it, and I was hating every page that I was putting out, and I was finishing the page literally a few minutes before I had it scheduled to post. And then I put it on hiatus and didn't even want to touch it for a month at a time because I was just so burned out from it and unmotivated to even look at it, because I felt like if I'd go back to it, I'd have the same amount of burnout and I'd just do it all over again. And I didn't want to quit art, but I fucking also wanted to quit art. It's very confusing. So find what pace works best for you, because forcing yourself can make you want to quit. Number 3 is a good reflection from number 2. So many of these are connected, but distance makes the heart grow fonder. With art, definitely, at least for me. If you see yourself getting burnout and force yourself to take a break from art for a week, you can usually find yourself wanting to draw again before the week is over. I guess it's like reverse psychology in a way. For me, when I do this, I usually take the first 2 days as a break and having the stressful parts of art just melt away. And then day 3, I started getting ideas for what to draw. Sometimes a design for an OC, sometimes the full art piece. Sometimes I just feel motivated to draw with no inspiration. And by day 4 or 5, I'm usually back to drawing and I feel just fully refreshed. For chapter 1 and 2 of Pepto, I had a schedule of 2 pages a week, and it was easy for the first few months, but it weighed down on me and felt like pulling teeth to get to the deadline. But then I took that very long hiatus, which I am sorry for. And now for chapter 3, I don't have a set schedule for posting. And somehow I'm drawing the pages with ease and posting on average the same 2 pages a week thing that I was doing when I had a schedule. But I don't have the feeling of it actually being a schedule. And I mean, now it doesn't feel like I'm breaking a rule by not posting every Friday. So I don't have that layer of stress on me. Number 2. Not number 2. Wow, idiot. Stupid, idiot, fool. Okay. Number 4. If you're presenting your art to others in any way, be positive about it. I learned this when I was in my AP art class for high school. We had to present our art to the whole class every week, and then they'd critique it. But before class started, we'd show all of our art to each other, and I'd see what they made, and I'd just be in awe, because I'm fucking nut for art. Hey, don't say that to 20,000 people. Don't tell 20,000 people that you nut to art. But then when they'd present it, they'd start by just rattling off the things that they hate the most about it. Sometimes even little details that you wouldn't notice at first. And the thing is, most people wouldn't have noticed those mistakes if you didn't say it out loud. The artist, specifically, is the one who saw the entirety of what you made. You saw that line that went wobbly on the shirt, and that little splat of watercolor on the arm, and you nitpick at those little flaws that you have instead of actually focusing on the big picture. Literally! Ah! And if you just focus on that, then others will too, and all that hard work and effort will just go down the drain. So you gotta love your art for the good bits, and not focus that much on the bad bits. Number 5. If you want to improve fast, then you need to step out of your comfort zone. This is advice that I'm sure every artist has said before, but it's true. And I'm gonna be real with you too, I don't follow this rule most of the time. Because I don't like it. I hate using references, and I hate background, and I try to do them as little as possible. And that's why I'm not good at them. I was actually told once that my art stopped improving 3 years ago because I don't push myself, but like, I work better at my own pace. This is what I want to do. I want to work like this. I'd improve faster and better if I did work on them, but I'm a stubborn piece of shit. And yes, improving is a cool factor that comes with art, but it's not what I do art for. I don't do art so that I can get better and better and better at art. I do art to make art, which is very confusing to say out loud, but it's true in whatever language I'm speaking. But yeah, stepping out of your comfort zone feels like an endless cycle of I can't draw this thing good because I don't have practice, and I don't practice because I don't like looking at art I made that's not good, and it's not good because I don't practice, and so on and so forth. But it will get better over time. You'll just be stuck in that limbo for a bit. Or, well, what's more than a bit? A long. No, bad example. I'm a bad teacher. You'll never improve at bodies if you only draw faces, and you'll never improve at drawing animals if you only draw people, and you'll never improve at backgrounds if you only do solid colors, or gradients, or random shapes as backgrounds. Number 6, oh fuck, I punched my pop filter. Number 6 goes with number 5. If you're feeling distressed about the art you're making while stepping out of your comfort zone, then go back to drawing your niche for a bit. Which is like the exact opposite of what I just told you. But it could be super disheartening to just keep on making art you're not proud of again and again. And that happens a lot when you're in that limbo from earlier. Art is fun. Okay, art is supposed to be fun. For the most part. If you're not having fun with what you're making, you might wind up wanting to quit. And art is a choice that you're making too. So you need to go back and remind yourself why you like art in the first place. Number 7. Don't be afraid to destroy your art. I mean, like, experiment. For an example, one of the things that makes my art stand out is the colors. But for years when I was younger, I just do the same sort of realistic color scheme. Like beige skin with brown shading and like little hints of red, but not a lot. And I was afraid of trying something different because I didn't want my art to look abnormal in a bad way, like it wasn't intentional, like it's just a mistake of what I was doing instead of something I was trying to do to experiment. But after a while, I stopped liking the choices I was making in my art, and just one day I decided, fuck it, if I'm going to hate my art, I'm gonna hate it, but also do what I want. So I'm gonna play around. And play around I did. And now my colors are things that I like. They're bright and they're abnormal, and some don't work well together, honestly, but they're vibrant, and I absolutely prefer that to what I was doing before. I love wacky colors. So yeah, just like, step out of your comfort zone, but in a good way, I guess. I don't know. It's easier to experiment with colors with digital art because you can always delete layers and change the levels and stuff. But in my sketchbook, what I do is I take a picture of the line art before I add color, and then I'd add all the weird colors, and If it looked better, then that's great. And if it looked worse, then hey, that sucks, but at least I tried. And I learned from that experiment. And I have a picture of the line art before I messed up what I drew, so I can look back on that and still have that art. I know that this little part of it won't be that helpful if you experiment with something that's not color, but you'll have to find what works best for you in your situation. Number 8. Art is hard to learn and easy to quit. It takes years to gain the skills to actually translate what's in your head to what's on paper, or any other methods you use to make art. And it's a very frustrating process. You can see what you want to do crystal clear in your head, but you can't get your body to cooperate until you train it. And I'm sure that even the best artists out there never got their work to be exactly the way they wanted it. Every artist hated their art at a point, and a lot of them went to the point where they were close to quitting. And it's really hard to pull yourself out of that. And you shouldn't bash any new or struggling artists, especially if they're insecure about what they're making, because it's so easy to give up. I've had long gaps of times where I didn't draw anything, and I'd wonder if I'd ever draw again or if this was the end. And in the end, I'd force myself back into it. But if I was younger, there's a pretty big chance that I wouldn't have. I would have just left it there. What people who are struggling with their art need is guidance. So learn to critique them in the right way. Tell them what they did right, tell them what they did wrong, and give them advice on how to improve what they did wrong. Insults are not a teaching method, and all they'll do is make the artist less motivated to ever draw again. And most importantly, number 9. There's no way to win at art. Art is just a complete preference thing. There's no way to win. All you have is your own personal goals that you set for yourself. I'm talking about all art. Music, dancing, writing, cooking, whatever else you do. With things like math, there's one right answer and a million wrong answers. And that's definite and that never changes. But art's not like that. Yes, there's guidelines you follow like anatomy and rules of thirds and color theory, but there's no point that every artist hits that means they win! They're the best artist in the world! There's no superior art style. I had a teacher in high school who was a realism artist, and this isn't bashing on other realism artists, just this specific bitch. And he thought that the meaning of art was recreation of the real world. If you used wacky colors, he'd tell you that they're not right and you have to change it. If you exaggerated a feature, he'd tell you that's not correct and makes you fix it. He thought that everything that's not realism is something that you need to fix to realism. There's no rules to art, but he set his own rules, and if you didn't fit into his specific guidelines, he'd bash you for it. And that's not how art works at all. He told me that I had good potential, but if I stick to drawing cartoons all the time, then I'd never wind up anywhere. Luckily, I saw that bullshit and disagreed and kept on making the art that I love to make, and he hated that. But then he quit being an art teacher and moved on to sports, and we got a new art teacher who was a non-objective artist, which is non-objective is pretty much what people see what abstract is, but abstract actually isn't abstract, it's called non-objective. It's very confusing, but she was supportive of all art styles. Whatever art you'd make in her class, it doesn't matter, realistic, stylized, minimalism, non-objective, black and white, line detail, no lines at all, the whole damn rainbow. She'd praise what you did, and she'd tailor her guidance in teaching to what you like to do with your art so that you can improve on the art that you make specifically. And that's the beauty of it. Art is how you specifically interpret the world. Art is something from your head that you make tangible so others can enjoy it and see this piece of your mind. And there's no rules to it, no rights or wrongs, it's just you. Man, now I'm in those I love art moods. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope I helped you in some way with this. Love you, boos. Bye!